Now, mussels are one of the easiest seafood to prepare and cook. Mussels are the ingredients of many, many famous dishes. And in the 12th century, an Irish sailor got shipwrecked on the shores of the Bay of Biscay. He settled there, and years later, he went out to visit his shipwreck and discovered something that changed the world of mussels forever. Now, I will tell you that story in a minute, but before that, I want to show you how to choose mussels, store mussels, prepare them, and cook mussels properly so that you can cook them every time successfully. My name is Walter Trupp. I used to manage and run and own some of the best restaurants in Europe, and these days I run my own cooking school. And mussels, like all other mollusks, are some of the strangest creatures that we eat. We humans have feasted on them since the earliest days, and mussels, you should know, you should cook them alive because they do spoil very quickly after they die. And if you don't intend to cook them immediately, then you can place them in a bowl, cover them with a wet newspaper or wet kitchen towel, and place it in your fridge. Then ideally put a weight on it, because that stops them from opening up and drying out where they could die. Like that, they can last you in the fridge for up to a week or even longer, depending on how fresh they have been. Now, mussels are sort of two-shelled filter feeders, and they pump up to 40 liters of water per hour through their gills. So it's extremely important that you get mussels from real, pristine, clean ocean water. Now, the flavor is of course strongly affected during the spawning cycle when they turn from male to female or the other way around. Now, during that time, their bodies will fill up with eggs and sperm, and they get an unpleasant taste. And then they release their fertilized eggs into the ocean, and after that their tissue is really depleted and chewy, and meaning the mussels will be very small and have no specific orange or beige color. And depending on variety, they can be in prime in spring, while other ones are in prime in summer, or vice versa. It's not as easy as with other seafood. Now, this is the beard of a mussel. If a mussel has a beard, you know if it's a male mussel. If it doesn't have a beard, it's a female, but then some females have a beard too. So, sorry, I'm just being stupid. I'm just being silly. That is, of course, incorrect. The beard does not tell me if it's a male or female. It's because mussels are grown on ropes or wooden poles, and they attach their foot or their bicep threads permanently to the rock, the rope, or the wooden plank. Now, before you cook it, you have to remove the beard, if it is present, which is attached to the foot inside of the shell, and tugging on it will injure the mussel. Hence, you only remove the beard shortly before you cook them. Remove it by pulling it away from the top of the shell towards the hinge, the thicker part of the bottom of the shell. Yeah. So then just pull it out like so. And then if there's any mussels in there which are broken, you need to discard them, because if you swallow a splinter of the shell, it would literally cut through your bowel system and it would be some serious trouble. Now, mussels should be lightly closed when you buy them. If they're open, tap on them to see if they stay closed. They don't snap close. You have to understand that they close very slowly, so don't throw them out, especially if they're really cold. They will close very slowly, so don't rush on that. See, here we go. Very slowly. If they don't, then they're most likely dead. But that does not mean that they're necessarily off. So in that case, you smell the mussel, and if it smells like all the other mussels, then there's no problem. It might have died while it was in the fridge, and therefore it's not off and it's fine to eat. Now, best test anyway the whole batch before cooking, because if there's one mussel in there that is off, the whole batch will most likely sting, and it's not worth proceeding, okay? Now, the scraping or the cleaning of the shell, you can do that, but I find that these days mussels are pretty clean anyway. If there's a lot of loose stuff on it, then give them a bit of a scrape, but generally, just giving them a really good wash and pulling the beard out will just do the trick. Now, have you ever wondered what's the real difference between a female and a male mussel? Well, the female ones are bright orange, they have a much nicer color, although they're a little bit chewy, and they can taste a bit strong, And then if the male ones, they have the much lighter color, you know, and they don't taste as strong and a bit more creamy, and they have a much nicer texture. Now that it's interesting that it is with mussels like that, because with humans, it's exactly the other way around, you know. Pretty simple, isn't it? During cooking, mussels open because they have two adductor muscles, which are some of the strongest muscles in the whole animal kingdom. And those muscles can either snap close when a mussel feels in danger, or they can close very slowly, and they can stay closed for literally days, which makes mussels suitable for transport and storage. Now those muscles, those adductor muscles in mussels, weaken under heat as they cook, and the mussel shells pop open, telling you it is done. Now I have not told you the story about the Irish sailor. I know, I will. Give me a second, we're almost there, because this is all important stuff. Now for 1 meal you need approximately 1.5 liters of mussels. And they do tolerate a little bit of overcooking, but you cannot place too many mussels into one pot. If I put lots of mussels in a pot, the center temperature in the pot, as well as the temperature under the lid, will basically stay low, and then the mussels don't cook through, and then they will open. And then you think that they're off, when in reality they're just undercooked. And then you throw them out, although it's a perfectly fine mussel, just a little bit undercooked. Therefore, you can just open them up by just getting a knife, but best just use a shallow pot when you cook him. You shake him a lot during cooking without removing the lid. Make sure your pot is really, really hot before you put the mussels in. Yum. I love mussels. Now there's a recipe below for what I just did here. So, so good. Oh, the story. Well, here we go. In the 12th century, an Irish sailor got shipwrecked on the shores of the Bay of Biscay on the French side. I told you that already. Now, years later, he went out to the shipwreck. You know, he visited it. I told you that as well. And what he realized is that the mussels grown on the wooden wreck were 3 times the size than the ones that they grew naturally on the rocks. So he then invented a mussel rearing technique that is still used to this day, where mussels are farmed in wooden beds that sit in the tidal waters, which you can see all around the north coast of Normandy, of Brittany and France. Yeah. So however, most farms these days suspend into deeper waters by using ropes or by using wooden poles where the mussels attach themselves. Here we go now. You know everything that you should know about mussels. So thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in one of my other videos.